Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into the Daily Juice Betting Pros live stream here on YouTube. Every Sunday morning we are here. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys may know me from the Daily Juice podcast that I do for Betting Pros each and every week. Now, normally Dan Harris is alongside, but due to what you guys probably know what's going on for the company, there's a lot of heavy hearts and a lot of sadness in the company with the passing of Tags, and the memorial service was this weekend, and so the vast majority of the company was there yesterday, traveling back today. So that's why Dan is not here. He wasn't here last week, obviously, for the company taking the Sunday off to remember Tags. So next week, we will be back, Dan and I together, normally doing this live stream. But for today, you just get me. All right. So here's the plan. I'm going to run through every game. There's been some very significant line movement in a couple of games that we're going to get into. I've got information from WinBet, FanDuel, and DraftKings that we'll get into here. And, well, we'll also do the player props, okay? 4 player props. Dan Harris has thrown 3 of them that I like, and I got one that I'm going to add from the prop bet cheat sheet that we'll get into. We don't have graphics, all right? So I'm going to repeat these things like 18 times, but if somebody can post it in the comment section for me as I run through them, we'll talk about games for a bit, 15, 20 minutes. Then we'll go into the player props, break those down, and then we'll get into some more information, breaking down things as to what we see for line movements and things along those lines. All right. So let's just start with the big daddy right out of the gate, and it's Tampa Bay in New England. My plan is dead, and I've had to punt this morning on this plan. So I was anticipating that given the number of dollars being bet on the Buccaneers, that the Bucs number was going to go up over 7.5. And when it did, I had already bet 6.5, and I was going to bet Patriots 7.5, and I was going to try to middle the thing. Okay. I was going to try to go land on 7, be on both sides of 7, and essentially have a sweat-free night. Okay. And just try to pull a rabbit out of a hat and hit both bets, knowing that I was going to be down, very little here with the juice in between both bets. I was totally comfortable going 1-1. Okay. Well, the Patriot money has started to flow, and it's not public money. It is respected money, and the books are panicking. And the books are now dropping below 7, and it's now 6.5. Guys, we're talking about 91% in higher money on the Bucs, and the books are taking respected money on New England, and they're moving the number down. This is as big with reverse line movement that I can remember. Okay, this is a game that's being bet like a playoff game. This is a game with Super Bowl type of attention. Let me give you an idea. On a normal Patriots home game, they issue between 200 and 250 credentials, with about 75 of those media credentials going to the broadcaster, CBS, NBC, whoever's doing the game. Okay, that is a normal game. Today, there are 550 media members who have been credentials for this game, and 250 of those have gone to NBC. They have this thing covered every which way in Sunday. And Brady going back to New England is the human interest story of human interest stories when it comes to what's happening in this game when Brady comes back out on the field in Foxborough wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneer jersey. Now, we all could be, I don't know. We all might be dead wrong on this, okay? But if you listen to the juice this morning, I told you I have a very small bet on the Patriots money line, okay? My official prediction on the game is Patriots 27-24. Okay, I'm wearing a Patriots hat. I'm a Patriot homer, but I can make a pretty strong case for New England here, given where the Patriots are right now at home, given the fact that Gronkowski and JPP are out, and that secondary for the Bucs is horrific. If the Patriots are going to have a big day throwing the football, and I may be adding player props later in the day, okay, but we've seen this before. Everyone running to the counter, betting games like they think the game's already been played, and maybe Tampa has a last-second drive in them, maybe has an awesome opportunity. But if you haven't bet Tampa yet, don't bet Tampa. That's all I'm going to say is don't bet Tampa. Okay. I could be dead wrong. You can dunk on me all you want coming up tonight, tomorrow morning, whatever you want. Come on the Discord channel, say you're a homer blinded by your love of the Patriots, and everyone saw this. It was an open and shut case. But when have you seen the books take a position like this and have it be an open and shut case? When have you seen in a game with this type of handle and this type of intensity and attention with what I just told you, 550 media members in in Foxborough for this game. When have you seen the books be this cavalier with their own bottom line? They don't like to lose this type of money, okay? This could be $1 million loss for certain books on one game. And the books, I guarantee you this. If the books thought this was going to be a blowout, this number would have moved and moved fast. They would have had this thing over 7. They would have been desperate for Patriot money. They didn't move it. They went to 7 and they sat there. And they're like, go ahead. They literally are daring you. When a bookmaker dares you to make a bet, don't make that bet. All right? Don't make that bet. When they're daring you to do it, when they're saying, go ahead, we don't mind. Bet whatever you want. How much money do you want? Oh, 100K, 50K, 200K, all you, buddy. Bet it till you're blue in the face. Go ahead. These guys are laughing with a switchblade behind their backs, guys. Be careful. That's all I'm saying. I punted this morning officially. I got out of this game entirely. I want no part of this game, okay? I want no part of it. I'll have a small money line wager. Like I bet it last night at plus 275 for the Patriots. It's down to plus 230, by the way. You can do a Red Sox Patriots money line parlay if you want to get real stupid and Bostonian today, and that will be it's minus 180 at Circa Sports. I saw that minus 180. You can do a Patriots Red Sox money line. Red Sox today up against the Nationals have to win to clinch a playoff berth, and if they win, they host a wild card game, which is kind of like, whoa. Yankees Red Sox would be the wild card game at Fenway if Boston wins. So a lot going on with Chris Sale's start today for the Red Sox against the Nationals. Nationals have been dead for a long time, but Red Sox had a rally last night, scored 4 runs in the top of the ninth, and then gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth, made it really hairy and crazy. So that game, I don't know. It's going to be tough for me. It's a noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time start. It's going to be a tough thing for me. I got to have like 15 TVs going today. I'm pulling out my computer. I'm pulling out my laptops. I'm pulling out my iPads. I mean, everything's going today. I need multiple screens. I need to build a whole like gigantic man cave on this. So, we'll see what happens. I like the Red Sox today to win. I mean, Chris Sale on the mound, they lost to the Orioles in their last start when Chris Sale pitched. I mean, that's incredible. But, I mean, you get great value on the Patriots at plus 240, plus 250 right now to come in a money line. I'm just telling you, again, you can say, I mean, people are saying whatever they want with their comment sections, and you're all in on that. I totally understand. But, look, I'm just going to start reading you the numbers, okay? The handle at FanDuel, 89% of the handle is now on money, is on the Bucs minus 7. Okay, 89%, and now FanDuel is at last check. Let me check. FanDuel officially for Patriots Bucs is 6.5. Okay, BetMGM 6.5. FanDuel 6.5. DraftKings, according to BettingPros' data, DraftKings is still at 7, which is interesting because they're the book closest to. They're the book in New England. They're the book in New Hampshire, closest to Boston. Caesars at 7 still. Bet Rivers is at 6.5. A buddy of mine told me that offshore he saw 7.5, and he did what I had recommended you guys do: take 6.5 and 7.5. So he did that. He got 7.5 offshore. He got lucky. I did not. There's no way any book in Vegas is going back to 7. It's going over 7. Okay, we very well might get back to 7. That's possible. You could see big money come in on the Bucs. Enough public money in the Bucs to drive it back to 7 before kickoff. But I would be stunned if a book in Vegas goes to 7.5. Absolutely stunned, given this is the first move of the day. Books open up for business before the kickoffs at noon. And with all their parlay liability, with all their teaser liability, they went down. I can't tell you. I was at 7 a.m. this morning. I'm just wake up. My eyes open up. I grab my phone. I go looking at the numbers like I always do first thing in the morning. And I literally went, what the blank? I can't understand it. I mean, I can't understand it, but it's just remarkable to me that this number is going down. I can't believe it's at 6.5. I thought for the life of me, we would see this thing go to 7.5 or higher. And the books are saying, go ahead and bet it. I'm just saying, I wouldn't go to war with a bookmaker. Look at Matthew Metcalf, okay? Let's just take yesterday, for instance. Matthew Metcalf opened up with the Alabama Crimson Tide at minus 20 against Ole Miss. What happened? Everyone bet the living daylights out of Ole Miss. Huge, $3,000 max wagers and $5,000 max wagers over and over and over again. Bama won by 21. Circa's at 6.5. All right. When you got books that take positions in games, that put up numbers because they want to be market makers, and they put it up and they say, go ahead, be careful. That's all I got to say is be careful. I'm doing a panel at G2E with Matthew Metcalf coming up on Wednesday. Matthew Holt as well from US Integrity, which is a service that does. Matt used to be at CG Technology. Now he's opening up his own company called US Integrity. They basically help the leagues and sports teams and books identify problem bets, things that might be a little bit fishy, watching to make sure that everything's on the up and up, if you will. That's Matt's company. And so I'm on the three Matts all getting together, but I wouldn't go to war with Matthew Metcalf on a game like this. That's all I got to say. And Matthew Metcalf is literally saying, go ahead and take Tampa. He's daring you to bet Tampa, and people are betting it and betting it and betting it. And look, books lose. They do, but they didn't lose with Georgia yesterday. They didn't lose at Alabama yesterday, and there's more money on this game than on those games. All I'm saying is be very, very careful. Okay, so Washington is now a 1.5-point favorite. Let's see if that number has moved at all. I bet it at 2 last night. Went the other way. Falcons money came in. It's now 1 at DraftKings. You're going to get a better number than what I got. FanDuel is at 1.5. BetMGM's at 1.5 for this game. Washington on the road at Atlanta. You have 81% of the handle, but just 55% of the bets are on Washington. The professionals are on Washington. I'm going to ride with the pros here. I'm on -2 with Washington. I don't like the Falcons. Data is really, really bad. Their defense is horrible. Their offense isn't very good. And I just don't think Washington is as bad as they have seen here. Also, that's money line, which is basically the same. I mean, very similar. It's, people just kind of getting out of the -1, -1.5 and betting money line, I guess. But the spread is 71% of the handle, 66% of the bets on -1.5, -2, -1, somewhere in that range. It's pretty much, we start getting down this low, that a 1 or 2 point win could change things. But generally speaking, you win by 3 points or more. And so you got Washington on the road at Atlanta. I think Washington wins the game. I really do. I think Washington is the better team. I think Taylor Heineke is going to have a pretty good game throwing the football. I think they'll run the ball effectively against Atlanta. I don't like the Falcons at all. There's so many numbers pointing against it. This is a play for me in the Circa. This is a bet for me as well. The last couple of weeks, I talked about this morning on the Daily Juice. Last couple of weeks, I didn't follow my Circa plays with gambling. I kind of left them separate. And I should have probably had them. We're 9-6 in the Circa, which is not great, but given where I've been pretty much 500 betting on the NFL through 3 weeks. I probably should have been following more of the logic and the things I was doing with Circa, because the lines are pretty similar most days. Sometimes they're out of whack, but for the most part, they're kind of similar with the Circa stagnant lines. So now I'm back on. I laid the 2, and now we've seen some buyback on Atlanta, but 1.5 to 1. I still like Washington here to win this game. Detroit and Chicago. Let's go. I mean, my goodness, this is a fascinating game. This is one of the games where I would have bet it. It is a play for me in the Circa. I would have bet it at -3 for Chicago if Laser was calling plays. It sounds like Nagy's calling plays. It's still Justin Fields starting, which I like it better. I don't particularly like Matt Nagy calling plays. I can't back it. He's just so erratic and so bad, and he had such a bad game plan last week for Justin Fields. If Bill Lazor is not calling plays for the Bears today, I can't bet this. So as far as everything I've heard is it's still going to be Matt Nagy calling plays. It is Justin Fields starting, which is better, but I can't. I just absolutely can't. 81% of the bets, high public, 66% of the handle, money line here. Public all over the lines, money line, 81%, 66% of the handle coming in on Chicago money line. The spread, 68% of the handle, 76% of the bets are taking the Lions up against the Bears at taking the +3 with Detroit. And I don't understand that. I mean, wow. I know Detroit's biting off kneecaps and whatnot, but I don't, you're getting behind the Lions. I don't understand that. I don't get it. They're on the road. They're outdoors. I mean, why are we betting the Lions at 0-3? Okay. I mean, again, if Bill Lazor was calling plays, I would bet this, but I'm not. He's not, and so I'm gonna just take it with the Circa at -3 for a Bears Circa play. But I do like the Bears to win and cover today at -3. All right. So speaking of that game, let's go with a couple of props here. This comes from Dan Harris. I grabbed 3 of the 4 from Dan Harris, one of which I like on my own, but this is Allen Robinson over 52.5 at -115 is the first prop of the day. Allen Robinson has not been effective. However, you have to think that with Justin Fields now coming in here and starting, that this team is going to exploit the Lions secondary that was bad before they lost Jeff Okudah, and you should be able to throw the football to Allen Robinson 4 to 5 times and get 52 yards. I mean, the guy's been highly unproductive. You have to think that they're going to try really hard to get him into the fray and get him going because, my goodness, it's been sort of crazy to watch Allen Robinson this season, given the fact that he signs this deal, he comes back, he thinks he's got a quarterback, he thinks he's going to be really heavily involved in the offense, and he just hasn't been. I mean, so far, 2 catches, 6 catches so far. 6 in the opener, 2 the last 2 weeks, 35, 24, and 27 yards. That is unacceptable for a guy like Allen Robinson. He has got to be utilized. Dan's numbers have him going over 50.5. The number slid up just a little bit to 52.5, and I'm still comfortable laying at -115. Allen Robinson over 52.5 yards receiving against the Lions in that pathetic secondary that the Lions have at -115. That is the first player prop. You guys know I play player props at a quarter unit. I don't go heavy here. I bet 4 of them every week. I bet 4 at a quarter unit, so I have 1 unit in play. These are not big plays for me ever. These are sprinkles, and these are for fun, and these are things that I enjoy watching and following along. I don't make major commitments to this because this is not my area of expertise. I do much better with full game numbers. I do much better by breaking down teams and defenses as a whole than getting into individuals. So this is why Dan and I work really well together, because Dan does a ton on the DFS side and the fantasy side and the prop side. And I take his advice pretty much all the time. I mean, when Dan's putting his foot down on things, I tend to go ahead and listen. And then I sprinkle in 1 or 2 that I like on my own. There's a couple. He had one that I didn't like, so I added one in myself. Okay, so Allen Robinson over 52.5 yards receiving at -115. You can find that at DraftKings, but that number is pretty readily available right now for Allen Robinson for the Bears to go and at least have 3 or 4 catches and make some noise against this awful Lions secondary. And now with Justin Fields starting at quarterback, you've got to think that they're going to try to build that rapport between those two. All right, second bet. I'm not a huge Cowboys defensive guy, all right? I think you can throw the ball on the Cowboys, and I think without having Run CMC available, we're going to go back here, and I did this last week, I think, and we got burned, or is it 2 weeks ago? I think it was last week with Robbie Anderson. Over 50.5 yards receiving for Robbie Anderson at -115. I mean, look, Robbie Anderson has not been anywhere near effective, and it's been a bad situation for this offense not to have him be available. There's been all sorts of questions about whether or not there's a relationship problem between Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold. You figured they were together with the Jets. They'd have some rapport, and it hasn't worked out really at all. 1 catch against the Jets for 57 yards, 3 catches against the Saints for 38 yards, and 1 catch against the Texans for 8 yards. I mean, like what? Like what is going on right now with Robbie Anderson, and what is going on? They've had the little mini bye here because they played on Thursday. So now you have a chance to really work on this. And without a running game per se with Christian McCaffrey, they're going to throw a lot today. And look, I don't love this Dallas Cowboys defense. And this is where I'm trying really hard this year to not bet totals, because totals have burned me a lot here already. And, I've talked about it a lot on the Daily Juice and on the Discord channel. I'm trying to stay on just sides, but I think this could be an overplay for me when we get off, and I got to watch and see where the numbers go and do some more research. I'm very close to betting the over here for the Cowboys and the Panthers. I just don't think Dak gets slowed down. This is a play on for the circa for, is it both teams or one team? Hold on, let me check and see for the circa. I think this is a play for one team. No, it's a play for both teams. Yeah. So Cowboys -4.5 is a play for both the Daily Juice and for my own personal circuit team. I just think the Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball a lot. High scoring game, but I think Sam Darnold throws picks. I think Sam Darnold goes back to being Sam Darnold. I think this team is going to be able to turn the football over, because that's what happens when Sam Darnold plays football a lot and he passes a lot. He turns the ball over. But I think Robbie Anderson will be targeted a lot more than he was. He's not been targeted much at all this season. It's crazy. I think he gets targeted. I think Dan's right to go ahead and say, all right, let's go back here. Let's jump in with Robbie Anderson over 50.5 receiving yards at minus 115. That number is pretty readily available. That was at BetMGM. Robbie Anderson over 50.5 receiving yards at minus 115. Okay, so Allen Robinson over 52.5, Robbie Anderson over 50.5. So I'll give you a couple of more player props here a little bit later. Those are the first two player props. Let's go back to the games here. Titans against the New York Jets. All right, so the spread is 6 at FanDuel. Let's see any movement on the Titans game. No, it's plastered at 6. Everyone's at 6. BetMGM, FanDuel, FoxBet, PointsBet, Caesars, everyone's at 6. Okay, so Titans on the road laying 6. The Titans do not have A.J. Brown, and they do not have Julio Jones. We've known that for a while, okay? The Jets are 0-3, and the Jets are absolutely horrible. And this comes down to like the Titans defense being able to turn the ball over and give their offense short fields up against Zach Wilson. But I want no part of this game personally. I stayed far away from this game. 94% of the handle on Moneyline Titans, 76% of the bets. Handle -6, 91%. 91% of the handle is on Titans -6.5 and 6. Number is coming down. Titans, 47% of the bets. 53% of the bets are coming in here on the Jets at home, which is kind of a weird little wonky thing. Okay. We have more Jets bet tickets, but we have way more money on the Titans. So we've got some public money on the Jets. Are public people buy? I mean, what? I don't know if FanDuel, because it's Jersey and that's why. So FanDuel numbers might be a little bit skewed, but that's wild to me that you've got all this pro money on the Titans, but you've got 53% of the bets coming on the Jets. I wouldn't touch that game. I want absolutely no part of Jets Titans. There are plenty of other games you can put your money down on. I want no part of it. All right. So the Browns and the Vikings, interesting movement with this game. So I'm eyeballing this because I am on a teaser that I gave out yesterday for this game. It went down to a pick. And I was surprised at the fact that it went down to a pick, but this number dropped down where the Vikings were even. They were laying 2 for a while, and then we saw Browns money come in. The number now is flipped entirely. Browns are now favored across the board. They're up to -2 at DraftKings. Dalvin Cook is going to play in this game. That was announced earlier this morning. Dalvin Cook is in for the Vikings. I'm giving Mike Zimmer, who's been a great home dog, I'm going to give Mike Zimmer +6 points. I teased this. I took Green Bay down from 6 to a pick, and I took Minnesota from a pick up to 6. So that's my teaser on this game here today. I have a couple of friends of mine who really like the Vikings a lot today at home to beat the Browns, and that this is a game where all the hype with the Browns and all the intensity around them, that they go on the road into a dome up against this Vikings defense, and they have a tough time moving the football. And the Vikings run the ball with Dalvin Cook, and they're able to move the football more on the Browns and run or pass, and they wind up just getting the victory. I mean, they're catching one. You could tease it right now up to 7, which I like that teaser even better than my own teaser last night to get the Vikings at +7. And then you can take Green Bay. We'll have more on that game in a second. But Green Bay, that number has not moved. It's gone up to 6.5. Okay, so you got 6.5. So it's moved a little bit, half a point up. So you could pull it down to a half a point. Packers minus half a point. Same as what I got. Packers pick. So need Packers to win the game by 1, beat the Steelers. I did this before, and it burned me in week 1. I teased the Steelers game down, and the Bills lost the game outright. I just can't see the Packers losing this game outright at home to start 2-2. I think the Steelers are not a good football team. As you may know, I faded them on their win total under 8.5. I'm still holding on to that with them at 1-2. Again, this is a road game that I've got penciled in as a loss. So I need the Packers to just win this game for me for 2 things, for the bet and for this teaser, to go ahead and jump in with that. So, I mean, it's, So here is a here's a text from a friend of mine. I can't believe that the books are picking their side. They have made the decision to go with the Patriots. There will be a lot of BMs breaking their arms, patting themselves on the back tonight, or reaching for Kleenex if Tom Brady lights them up. I mean, again, the interest, this game is, if you like money movement, okay, if you're someone, I'm in the weeds, I love this crap, okay, not everyone does, I understand it, sometimes people just like, give me picks and be quiet, I don't care, but if you like watching line making, if you like watching how the sausage gets made with bookmaking, Tampa and New England is an absolute case study. You could do 3 hours of radio on Tampa and the Patriots, in the bookmaking, in the line movements, in the decisions being made in risks room right now across the globe about what to do with this game, because there is not a game with a higher level of interest, that there won't be a game in the regular season with a higher level of interest than this game. There will not be a betting handle in the regular season that will be this high, and the books are taking a position. Remember this, if people ever say, books, they only want to be 50-50 on both sides, right? They want to have equal money on either side. That is not the case. It's not happening that way tonight. The books are literally putting their foot down and they're saying Patriots. So if you're somebody who likes to be on the side of the books, if you are somebody who likes to be contrarian, the only play tonight is Patriots. That is the only play. You guys can hammer the Bucs, and look, there are so many people. If you guys cash tickets on the Bucs, if Brady goes into Foxborough and rips the Patriots and they win 40-10, okay, the game goes under. And it goes, everyone just destroys it. Those are the bets coming in. We're going under, Bucs, under, Bucs. Some people are going over Bucs, but a lot of people are going under in the Bucs as well. So the Patriots can't score. They're not going to score at all. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, can't move the football. Wide receivers can't get separation. Saints killed them. It's the classic look-ahead spot in overreaction from week to week to say the Patriots are garbage, right? But fine, they're 0-2 at home. Belichick's going to be 0-3 at home. All these things, right? I just think Patriots +7, that's the play. That's the play. I'm not making it, okay? I'm not making it. I'm just sprinkling a quarter unit on Patriots money line, because that would destroy everything. You want to talk about champagne and caviar in the risk room, Patriots win the game outright tonight, it will destroy all teasers. It will destroy all parlays. Just so many games being rolled into that game, into that New England game. And it could be teaser liability. There's all sorts of questions as to why this thing is coming down. Is everyone teasing it? But then the number would go up. They would be, if you were a book and you were concerned about teaser liability, you'd be raising the number. You'd want to get to 8 or 9, and then you pull them down. They're not worried. The books are literally drawing a line in the sand and saying, bet it. It's unbelievable. This is so exciting. It's so cool. And again, you got to be kind of a numbers geek and a wonky nerd like I am when it comes to bookmaking, and how I love to watch these things, and how I love how the books are going to determine what actually happens and how the books actually do this. But it's so captivating and exciting to watch this as a book, like a Circa with Matt Metcalf, or anyone really across the country, in offshore, as to what they're doing. They're all trying to figure out, where do we want to be when this game kicks off? How much of a red number do we want on Tampa? And how much liability are we comfortable taking on? And that's why this first line movement down to 6.5. Look, it could be a head fake. I'm not debating it. It could be a head fake where you get the number below, you bet one side, you put $100K down at 6.5 as a respected syndicate, on Patriots +7, number drops to 6.5, and you come back in with as much money as you can possibly get down on -6.5. Maybe that's the play. Maybe it is a head fake. We don't know. But maybe it also is not. Maybe it's the books taking a position saying, we like the Patriots. Give me the Patriots +6.5 as a home dog in the NFL. How many home dogs have covered this year? How many home dogs have won outright this year? And nobody wants to listen to it. Nobody's giving the Patriots any chance. This feels like a Super Bowl, and it feels like 2000 all over again, but it's not Kurt Warner on the other side. It's Tom Brady this time. Didn't we learn this 20 years ago when everybody was betting on the Rams and hammering the Rams, and then this young kid named Tom Brady all of a sudden beat St. Louis, and everyone cries about, they were taping our walkthroughs. Okay, no talk about the fact the Patriots defense just smacked the Rams around for literally 4 quarters, and the Patriots had the league change the rule. The rules changed after that year because the Patriots beat the Rams receivers up so badly. Remember that? Nobody wants to remember that. It's easier to just talk about taping and nonsense and crying and whining, Mike Martz, right? It's easier to do that, Marshall Faulk, right? It's easier to cry about that crap rather than talk about the fact the Patriots defense just owned you. But, fine. Greatest show on turf, right? So I'm just saying, it is a fascinating place to be as a Patriot fan to watch the Bucs be on your side and be like, we're good. Let's go play. I can't, this game can't get here fast enough. Get me to tonight. I just cannot wait. All right, 2 more player props. First 2 player props. Allen Robinson over 52.5. Robbie Anderson over 50.5. Jameis Winston's passing numbers are down to 192.5. Okay. Look, I'm going off the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet, okay? And this game's at home, first game in the Superdome, and I got to admit, I'm a little bit perplexed on this because I know they've been running the football a lot, and I know he hasn't been throwing the football a lot. But I do think that Jameis Winston's going to have a decent day, and I do think Jameis Winston's going to throw the football today coming up at home, and the Saints are pretty big favorites, all right? And the Saints, I looked long and hard at this game. I thought about betting it. Giants are bad, okay? They're just bad. They are 2-1. Saints are 2-1. Giants are 0-3. They lost at home to the Falcons of all teams. I think the Falcons are just maybe the worst team or one of the worst teams in the NFL. Put it this way, I like the Jaguars right now more than I like the Falcons, and I have a bet on the Falcons to win 8 games. So after what I've seen with this Falcons team, they're just really bad, and the Jets and the Giants lose that game to them. Number 7.5 at DraftKings right now. It's 7 pretty much everywhere else. But I think Jameis throws the ball today. I really do. I think Jameis throws the ball. I have him over 192.5 passing yards today, which is not a big number for a guy like Jameis Winston. He has not gone anywhere near that so far. Okay, I get that. 148, 111, and 128 so far. But this Giants defense is bad. I think they'll throw the football on them, and I think you got an opportunity to pick up some big yardage at home with Winston. I'm going over. Prop bet cheat sheet number 2. Let's double check on that. Let's see where we are, Rick, because it sometimes adjusts as the day goes. It is now number 3. So third best. The prop bet cheat sheet is projecting 224 yards passing against the Giants today for Jameis Winston. That's 31 yards of value there with the prop bet cheat sheet. So 192.5. You find that at DraftKings. That number is coming up a little bit, it looks like. I think that's where I got it this morning, but there's some numbers coming up here, but I'm still okay with 193. I got 192.5. It's 193.5. I'm comfortable with that. I laid this morning. I laid minus 110 on that. So I do think that that's the third best bet I like from a prop bet cheat sheet perspective or from prop perspective. So Allen Robinson over 52.5. Robbie Anderson over 50.5. Jameis Winston over 192.5. And by the way, if you guys ever wonder why I don't bet unders, and pros bet unders all the time, I can't stomach betting unders for props. So if I find a prop I like for an under, it's great, but I just can't do it. Just very rare to ever bet unders on props because there's nothing worse than rooting against somebody to do something. The only thing I like doing sometimes is betting no on touchdown props if the numbers are good and you can really fade that. But more often than not, I'm betting over. In particular, it's an offensive game. So more likely than not, these numbers are pretty sharp, and I like to bet over because it's 1 or 2 plays, and that makes it more fun personally. And I'm only betting a quarter unit. So to give you an idea where I am, I've got 5 full unit bets going, and I have 4 quarter unit bets going. I have 5. That's not true. I have 5 quarter unit bets going because I have the Patriots money line for a quarter. But that's just to give you an idea as to how I do it. Like, I'm just not all in on props. Some people bet full units. I don't know how they stomach that, or 2 full units. I don't know how they stomach that. That's a lot riding on one guy who could get hurt, get kicked out of the game, whatever. There's just a lot going on that I don't feel like throwing a ton of money down on that. Okay, and then finally, the Buffalo Bills today. This is from Dan Harris. Dawson Knox over 22.5 receiving yards. I got it at minus 120 at BetMGM. Dawson Knox, tight end for the Buffalo Bills today. And I mean, I think the Bills and the Texans don't cover tight ends very well. They don't cover anyone very well. 17.5, that number is climbing. I cannot believe it. This has to be a typo. DraftKings is at 16. I can't see FanDuel being at 17.5 and DraftKings being at 16. That's probably just something that hasn't been updated as of yet, because that doesn't make any sense to me. They wouldn't be 1.5 off on the market. If they are, and you like the Texans, go bet. Sorry, you like the Bills, go bet it at DraftKings. That 17 is a key number, so you get under 17 for the Bills. I don't know. I'd be really careful. I came very close to betting the Texans today. I mean, they're going to be a popular teaser leg as well. I mean, do we think the Texans lose this game by 21 points? I mean, if you tease this from 17 to 23, I mean, my gosh, you can get up to 23.5 points in a game. Texans aren't that bad. I mean, they're bad, but they're not that bad. I'm not touching it, but that's the only way I would look at that potentially as a teaser leg. Oh, by the way, I will do, before we're done here, someone just asked me about this. I will talk about the Wong teasers. Personally, I used Circa to find these numbers. If you don't know what a Wong teaser is, I will explain it here in just 1 second. But basically, the key number is 49 that we need to look at. And let me see something really quick here for movement, because Vikings are now favored. How about that? At Circa Sports, Vikings favored -1. There's a flip to everybody else. Looks like the market is at, let me refresh this and see if that's still the case. Circa now with the Vikings favor, they were +1 like 10 minutes ago. They're still catching one at a lot of these books. And so Circa here in Vegas is now flipped over with the Vikings now favored by -1. Cowboys are still at 4. Saints are at 7. Still a pick. Ravens Broncos are still a pick. The professionals are on the Ravens today. Public's on the Broncos. I'm on the Ravens. Packers are down to 6. Okay, interesting, from 6.5. There were 6 last night though when I teased this down. So it's 6.5 at other books. It's 6 at some books here. Patriots still catching 6.5. Buccaneers at 6.5. Unbelievable that's the case with that game. But there are a couple legs that I've been eyeballing. Washington still -2. Bears still -3, although the juice has changed a little bit at Circa. It's -105 right now on that. Dolphins -2.5 now against the Colts. I wish that number for the Cowboys would get to 6, because if that number got to 6, I'd tease the Cowboys down. But no, but see, okay. So for a Wong teaser, let me I always like to just read this straight up because I have this written down. That I think it's to explain a Wong teaser as to what we're looking to bet here. And then I'll go back to some of the numbers that are out right now. But a Wong teaser basically is that you take a total of 49. Okay. You're only playing, it's a 6.2 team teaser. You're taking 49. That's the total. You can't go over 49. If it's at 49, does not qualify for a Wong teaser. Okay. You're teasing home favorites of 7.5, 8, 8.5, or 9 down below 3. All right, 3 or below. Okay, so if you're at 8.5, you're teasing that down to 2.5. Okay, so you're now instead of laying 8.5 at home, you're laying 2.5. You're taking underdogs who are at home from 1, 1.5, 2, or 2.5, and you're getting above 7. Okay, really, ideally, it would be like a home dog of 3, 6-point teaser. You would then tease that up all the way up to 9. Okay, ideally, but 2.5, 2 home dogs, tease it up. Road underdogs of 1, 1.5, 2, or 2.5. You're then teasing that also. You're teasing that up. Okay. So this is about 7, really. The key number is 7. Far more often, NFL games are ending between 7 or 0 in points. So you try to get over that 7, which is the number 1 key number. 3 is really the key number, but 3 and 7, you're getting over that when you're teasing it. Okay. So games that right now, and try to get as close to kickoff as possible. The one little factor people leave out all the time when it comes to a Wong teaser is it has to be right before kickoff. Because if you have a total that's 49 and it goes to 49.5, doesn't qualify. All right. So I'm 3-0 this year here on the live stream, giving you guys Wong teasers. So we're going to do another one here today, but we got to find a couple that actually do qualify. So like Falcons would technically qualify as of right now. Okay. It's a home dog of 2. You would tease the Falcons up to 8. They would qualify. Let's see, for home favorites, there's nobody really at home that's favored by 7.5. No one at home is favored by more. Well, I guess the Bills. No, they're not. The Bills are. Eagles are not. Saints are 7. If that Saints game were to go to 7.5, and the Saints may be a play though. It may be a good Saints. If Saints go 7.5, you tease down. May not be a bad idea to tease the Saints down to 1 anyway. But technically, you want to get over 7.5. So this game doesn't technically qualify yet until it goes to 7.5. And then, yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of games early that are qualifying for the Wong teaser. So we may need to fool around. Broncos at a pick would factor in. You could take the Ravens or the Broncos, either side, and tease the Ravens up. Teasing the Ravens to +6 is definitely going to be one leg for me on the Wong teaser because I'm already on the Ravens plus a pick, but you can go ahead and kind of hedge on that a little bit in case I'm wrong on that, and you give the Ravens 6 points on the road. But that's a road underdog of 1, 1.5, 2, or 2.5. You would prefer that game to be +1 if you could jump onto it, because then you get to 7, which is obviously a very key number. You get to 7. So we'll watch that, see if any late money comes in here on that. Yeah, I don't know. And this is interesting. There aren't many games that qualify for a Wong teaser early. The games and the games late don't qualify really either as of yet from a Wong teaser perspective. So we need that Saints game to get to 7.5. If that but the books aren't moving off of it as of yet. But if you see 7.5 on the Saints, you then can pull that down, which I like. But I still think the Saints, if it doesn't work, and before we get out of here in 15 minutes, Saints Ravens could be the Wong teaser. I'm already on Minnesota +6 and Green Bay at a pick. That's my own personal. I'm 0-2 on my personal teasers, by the way. I'm 3-0 on the Wong teasers, 0-2 my personal teasers. So who knows? Maybe it's time to flip those. I don't know. Maybe go 1-2 on that and the Wong misses, but there really isn't a 100% qualifying bet on a Wong teaser so far. But maybe the numbers change and maybe we see some differences as we come in. I don't know if I want to take the Falcons up to +8. Given the fact that I'm on Washington -2, but I mean, technically, if you're going to follow the formula, we may have to do that. we may need to take the Falcons. Maybe it has to be Falcons Ravens from a formula standpoint. And just hope that the Washington football team, like, you're basically trying to middle that essentially for me, because I have Washington -2. So you take the Falcons from 2 and give them 6 points and they go up. That's a home underdog of 2 points, teases up past 7. Falcons +2. I mean, granted, with a total of 47.5, again, 49 is the key number for a Wong teaser. You're coming down, yeah, I don't hate that. So we'll do that before we wrap. I'll make a final determination on what we're going to do with that here. All right, let's go back to some of these games from a money perspective as to where we are. Colts and the Dolphins. The line's 2.5 at Circa. Line's 2.5 everywhere else. Spread bets 43% coming in on the Colts, both money and handle, both 57% Dolphins money and handle on that game. So pretty much two-way action on Colts and the Miami Dolphins. Panthers, Cowboys, this is where I think a total bet might be smart, but 70% of the handle coming in on the Cowboys, as you would expect with them being a very public team, laying the 4. It's a circa millions team bet for me on both teams. Cowboys -4.5. I'm not going to go near it with my money, though, because this kind of feels like a trap a little bit here. Everyone's going to take the Cowboys, but basically it's 70% of that handle. 7 out of every $10 being bet on the Cowboys. Giants and the Saints, like I mentioned, 67% of the bets, 62% of the money on -7 for New Orleans. There are some people who are backing the Giants, although, again, this is FanDuel, so maybe there's some New York money coming in on the Giants. You've got 38% of the handle, 33% of the bets coming in on that. Chiefs and the Eagles, 7's the number. I'm on Chiefs -6.5. I bought this thing off of 7 earlier in the week because I wanted to be under 7. I knew the number wasn't going down. 95% of the handle, 91% of the bets. This is the public game of the day. And I'm on it too because I don't like Philadelphia, and I think it is time for the Chiefs to finally win. Sometimes just being on the right side, the pros and the Joes are on the same side. That game may be just a complete kick to the gonads for the Bucs, and there may be nothing they can do about it. I think it is time for the Chiefs to finally put one on. Don't turn the darn football over, Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs, don't turn it over. They win by 10 minimum, okay? They turn it over, blah. that could be just brutal. But I'm on Chiefs minus 6.5. The world's on Chiefs minus 7. Bills and the Texans, you've got 57% of the handle, 43% of the handle on the Bills, 57% on the Texans. Woo, how about that? So you've got the bet count, 75% of the bets are on the Texans. The public are taking the points against the Buffalo Bills. So a little bit of a pros versus Joes there, but the handle is still 57% on the Texans, 43%, but the bet count just 25% on the Bills. So the pros are coming in on Buffalo. The public likes the Texans. I want no part of that game. Rams Cardinals. This is a game that I am going to be so fired up to watch. I will be involved in this game personally later. I want to see where the line goes during the day and see if there's a potential to get to 6 or so and take the Cardinals. I'm on the Cardinals for, I think, both plays for the circa or just one on the circa. Let me see here. I know I'm on with one. Is it both? Let's see. I'm on with plus 4.5 for the personal. Yeah, both. Plus 4.5 on both. So Cardinals is a big game. I'm going to be watching, cheering hard for the Cardinals. You've got 66% of the handle. 68% of the bets are on the Rams, just 34% of the handle and 32% of the bet counts coming in on the plus 4.5 for the Arizona Cardinals. Sean McVay owns, and I mean straight up owns the Cardinals. I'm fading that trend. Okay. It's time now for Cliff Kingsbury to finally get one on the Rams. They may not win the game, but I think that 3 going over 3 is okay. I think the Cardinals move the football. I think, it's going to be hard to see, and this book, this doesn't have it. Let me see where the over, the latest numbers for DraftKings just came out. From a total perspective for this game, for Rams and Cardinals, you've got 85% of the handle and 79% of the bets are on the over 54. Everyone's on the over here in this game. I just wonder, are we looking at a lower scoring game than people think? Or is it going to be just a complete shootout? This goes back to the old adage of like, take the lowest of the low and bet under, and the highest of the highs for totals and bet over. 54 is by far the highest total on the board right now for week number 4. The next closest is 51.5. That's the next closest. So you're talking about way higher than everyone else. I mean, Seahawks, Niners is 51.5. 51.5 for Browns and the Vikings, 51.5 for Cowboys and the Panthers. And this game is at 54 to give you an idea. So, I mean, I don't want to get involved with that because I could see a lower scoring game. If the Rams were to blow out the Cardinals, it probably does go under. So I'm staying away right now, but I do have 2 circa picks, and I'll be very intrigued to watch the Cardinals. Huge game right before we get to the Patriots and the Bucs. Seahawks and the Niners. Spread's 2.5 for San Francisco. It was 3. Now it's down to 2.5. Actually, I think it was actually, I don't know if that's right. Hold on. I don't know that that's right, but it's 2.5 now. 87% of the handle, taking the 2.5 with the Seahawks, 76% of the bets on the Seahawks. So some pros and Joes siding with the dog there against the 49ers after their loss to Green Bay. People aren't liking it, thinking that it's time for Russ to get going here, for the Seahawks to get a victory if they're going to stay inside this conversation. And then Ravens and the Broncos, -1 now for the Ravens. It's a pick still here at Circa in Vegas, but 52-48 on the handle, pretty much straight two-way action. 58 bet count to the Ravens, 42 to the Broncos. Again, very similar. I mean, this is, a coin flip game that I'm comfortable taking the Ravens on the road against the Broncos because the Broncos are not this good. Okay. They've played nobody. So I'm going to take the better quarterback in Lamar Jackson. I'm going to see all those injuries with KJ Hamler being out and Jerry Jeudy being out. I think Denver's going to have to run the football against this Ravens defense. The Ravens can bow up here and get a victory. Just win the game. Ravens just to win. This is a pick of mine. I have Ravens on a pick. And then finally, Green Bay and the Steelers. The line is 6.5 now. It's ticked up from 6 last night. It's still 6 here in Vegas, but it was 6. It's 6.5 at FanDuel. You've got 75% of the handle on this and 84% of the bets on Green Bay. So pros and Joes are on the same side. They are fading the Steelers today, as I am as well. I don't need a cover. I just need a win for Green Bay here, and then Minnesota at +6 on the other leg. of the of my one teaser. Okay, so let me give you my full card here as to where I am. Broncos are now -1. Somebody is asking. Not at Circa, they're not. So outside, this is a little bit of a different spin. Let me just refresh Circa here, tell you where Circa is for this game. It's still a pick. Okay. I mean, there could be book seeing, but again, there's not, it doesn't take a lot of money to get a book off of pick. Okay. -1, -2. It doesn't take a lot of money to get there. So it's essentially, if it's +1 Ravens or -1 Ravens, it's essentially the same thing, except for if you're talking about teasing, right? Then you're teasing through 0, and we'll do that some other time, talking about why I don't like teasing through 0. But other than that, it's not that big of a deal in terms of where the books are. So that number doesn't scare me one way or the other, whether it be -1, +1. You know, I don't really mind. I would prefer Harbaugh just better as a dog. So you could say, like, I'd rather have Harbaugh be a dog just because he's, historically speaking, he's better as a dog, but on the road. But, you know, I'm not going to freak out too much over on that one. Okay, so just to reset the props, Allen Robinson over 52.5 yards receiving for the Bears. Robbie Anderson over 50.5 receiving yards for the Carolina Panthers. Jameis Winston over 192.5 passing yards for the Saints. And Dawson Knox over 22.5 receiving yards for the Buffalo Bills today at -120. Let me quickly just see any last second information that normally pops here about who is in and who is out from today. I just like to kind of scale through these things just to see where the public is and what the public is looking to do. And I mean, this is such an interesting day. It really, really is such an interesting day. Our friend Patrick Everson from props.com, who I do a podcast with, he is PointsBet is reporting they did go to 7.5 with the Chiefs. How about that? Chiefs are now 6.5 from a peak of 7.5. 91% of the bets and 92% of the handle is on Kinsey, but there are some sharp bets obviously coming in on the other side here, taking the Eagles at +7.5. That was the height. PointsBet also saying that 92, 93 bets in the money on the Buccaneers went from 5.5 to 7, now back down to 6.5. According to BetMGM, sharps are on both sides, telling Patrick Everson sharps are on both sides of the Bears and the Lions. Detroit's a public dog for sure. Tickets are 5-1 on the Lions. Money is 2-1 on the Lions. A lot of Lions money line going today. So you want to fade the public trendy dog, that would be the Lions today. From a public trendy dog perspective. Let's see. Okay, so BetMGM from Baltimore and Denver. We talked about that game earlier. Broncos are -1 to -1.5. Now the Ravens -1. Sharp play, Ravens +1. 2-1 tickets in favor of the Ravens. Almost 3-1 money at BetMGM here in Nevada is on the Ravens. Ravens nationwide at BetMGM hovering around 60%. So sharps are clearly on it. PointsBet is seeing two-way action, bit more money on Baltimore as well. So a little heads up on that game. Okay, so again, my ticket is for the Daily Juice today. I'm on Kansas City -6.5. I have punted entirely out of the bet for the Patriots Bucs game. That's now off I'm done with that. I am on Patriots money line for a quarter unit. Ravens pick 'em. Washington -2 on the road against Atlanta. And then a teaser, Minnesota +6, Green Bay pick. Vikings go from a pick up to +6. Green Bay goes from -6 down to a pick for -120 on a 2-leg teaser. Now, the last play that we do is we talk about where we're going to go for the Wong teaser if a Wong teaser is available. Okay. So here are my options. I'm just going to write these down literally as we talk about this because it has to be right for the Falcons +8. That's an option for the Wong teaser. Jets are down to 5. Wow. How about that? The Jets now qualify. The Jets are now qualifying for a home. Well, no, they don't. Sorry, it's too high. It's 5. No, Jets don't qualify. The Vikings qualify if that number were to move, but on a pick, it's kind of like, no, we want to get to 1 for that game. So we want to avoid the pick. You can go on either side of it if you want from a Wong teeter perspective, but I'm not gonna go into that. The Saints are at 7. Saints do, I guess, technically qualify. So Saints to -1. Eagles at +7. No, that does not qualify. Rams don't qualify. Niners don't qualify. Broncos, Ravens here. Let me see if I switch books. Let me see something here. That's just all circa. Let me look and see if there's anybody else that from a different book perspective here that I can pull up. Vikings, Browns are a pick at this book here in Vegas. Rams, Niners, Broncos -1. So the Ravens road underdogs of 1. So the Ravens would qualify here. You could tease it up to 7 with the Ravens there. And let's see where are the Saints? So you can shop and find Ravens +1. That's out there, which I like. That qualifies for a road dog. And then we got to find the Ravens. Sorry, not the Ravens. So the Saints. Saints are 7 there. I would like it to be a little bit lower if possible. Vikings are a pick, so that's lower as possible. This book has the Jets at 5.5. My gosh, a lot of Jets money coming in here. No one trusts the Titans, which I can't really say. And then it's 2.5 now. So you can get Falcons +8.5, which is interesting. And that total is 47. The Ravens game is 42, which is really kind of interesting how low that total is for the Ravens. Oh, now it's 44. Sorry. That number is 44. Saints and the Giants is 42. Sorry. So what do I want to do here? This is Ravens Falcons at plus. Do I want to go Falcons +8.5, or do I want to go Saints -1? I think the Saints -1 is probably the better bet up against the Giants. Just have them win the game because the Giants are so bad. Man, that feels like a trap though. That Saints game that's one of those it's one of those games that I don't like. It's one of those games I don't like. But Colts +2.5. That's okay. Now that's interesting. Someone just pointed that out. So that may be the side because Colts do road underdogs of 2.5. That does, yeah. You know what? That has to be a leg. Good job out of the audience. Good job. Colts +2.5. That's bad. My bad for missing that game. Colts now to 8.5. That's got to be one of the legs here on the Wong teaser. So that qualifies. And then the other leg, yeah, that's a good leg. Good job out of you guys on that. That has to be that leg. And then Colts, and then I got to think about, do we go Ravens +7? Yeah, I like that. Ravens +7. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, Ravens +7, Colts +8.5 for a Wong teaser because both those do now qualify. But you got to find the Ravens at +1. Okay, it's important to find Ravens +1. Find the Colts at +2.5. Both those are under 49. Colts +8.5. Ravens +7 for 1 unit -120. There is your Wong teaser. We're gonna jump in going here with that for the Wong teaser for us there. All right. That's going to do it for the live stream. Dan Harris will be back coming up tomorrow. Next week, rather. Let me run through the props one more time. Allen Robinson over 52.5 yards receiving. Robbie Anderson over 50.5 receiving yards. Jameis Winston over 192.5 passing yards. And Dawson Knox over 22.5 yards passing for the Buffalo Bills. Receiving, sorry. Dawson Knox receiving 22.5 yards receiving at -120 for that one. My name is Matt Perrault. You can get the Daily Juice podcast wherever you guys get your podcasts. I will be on the Discord channel, bettingpros.com/chat to get in there, having some fun, talking to you guys throughout the entire day. Enjoy the day. Best of luck on all of your bets.